This is the Nigerian News Network.
Nigeria is a modern African country. Modern in that it was really given a name and called something more recently. The British took over the land and named it Nigeria because of the prominent Niger River. This happened in the 1890s when the English were traveling all over the world and conquering. Although the British may have been the ones to give the country a name, the history dates back hundreds of years. Before the British came, 3 tribes inhabited Nigeria. They were the Hausa in the north, the Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east. Nigeria's history begins with the Holy War that created the Islamic government there. Then they had a slave trade where over 3.5 million were exchanged. This exchange was mainly held with countries across the Sahara. This only lasted about 60 years before leaving the Nigerians by themselves to figure out their own way. This allowed the people to start over and find their way again. They expanded their agriculture and also decreased the amount of slavery there. This time was called the Contemporary Period, and it lasted until about 1960 when the independence of Nigeria was announced. Since the announcement, Nigeria has been corrupt. They have had many civil wars and a decreased GDP.
Nigeria today is one of the most populated countries in the world, occupying 179 million people. Its cities are extremely populated, causing many problems with drainage, trash, space, and other things. The average young person lives in a hut with their 4 to 5 family members. They have a school system similar to the US, which they would attend. After that, they come home and probably help their parents with the farm or do some other kind of work. Over 50% of Nigerians are farmers, so this allows them to provide for their family and to help pay for their land. The other 50% is likely working for the government petroleum business. Nigeria has an interesting culture. They eat with their hands, although they are making a tradition of using utensils. They are not allowed to eat with their left hand because they believe it is bad luck. The man is heavily favored in their government. Unfortunately, in some places, women get treated like property. The husband is allowed to beat his wife as long as he doesn't leave permanent damage. Furthermore, the Nigerian people do not have things like movie theaters, nightclubs, radio, TV, and others, although they may not be able to use it much because they average around 10 power outages a day.
And now to Alexis.
A common issue in Nigeria is schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a long-term mental disorder that involves breakdown in the relationships between thoughts, emotions, and feelings. It causes people to withdraw from reality and fall into fantasy and delusion. The cause of schizophrenia is not exactly known, but it's a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain chemistry that could be caused by chemical changes, pregnancy complications, childhood trauma, and drug abuse. In Nigeria, childhood trauma is a leading cause of schizophrenia. Boko Haram, a jihadist terrorist group organization based in northeast Nigeria, uses brutal violence, including executions, kidnapping, arson, and rape, regardless of who's watching. The children and other family members then develop PTSD from watching these horrific events, but they never receive treatment due to the lack of mental health facilities. Not only does this affect the victims, but it also affects the fighters because they were abducted into the group and told either fight or be killed. Being forced to harm so many people in such a brutal way can cause PTSD and lead to drug use, another cause of schizophrenia. Some symptoms of schizophrenia are problems with thinking, behavior, and emotions. Signs and symptoms may vary, but they usually involve delusions, hallucinations, and disorganized speech, and they reflect an impaired ability to function. In men, schizophrenia symptoms typically start in the early to mid-20s, but in women, symptoms typically start in the late 20s. It's uncommon for children to be diagnosed with schizophrenia and rare for those older than 45.
Worthless.
Waking up now.
Ah, the phone woke you up. Don't answer, they'll know.
They know who you are.
Why are you so worthless? Stupid. So stupid. I hate you.
Why are you going to pick up the phone? Stupid. Worthless stupid.
They'll know. Coming for you.
Something wrong.
They'll know.
Package. Poison package.
Nigeria has one of the most complicated healthcare systems in Africa. In order to keep up with the wide-growing concerns in public health care, public health is run by 3 tiers of government. The federal government is responsible for coordinating affairs in federal medical centers and university teaching hospitals. The state government is responsible for running general hospitals, and lastly, the local government is responsible for dispensaries. Although it seems the healthcare system is organized and well thought out, when it comes to mental health, treatments are very limited and the patients are treated very poorly. There are over 40 million possible mental health patients and about 150 psychiatrists in the whole country. The World Health Organization estimates that fewer than 10% of mentally ill Nigerians have access to the care they need. Only 3.3% of the health budget of the Nigerian government goes to mental health. This causes there to be very few mental health facilities in Nigeria, and most of them are extremely overcrowded. Due to the asylums being overcrowded, the conditions are terrible. Patients are often shackled with iron chains to heavy objects and cannot leave. Sometimes they are forced to stay there for months or even years. They are often in confined, overcrowded, unhygienic conditions and are sometimes forced to sleep, eat, and defecate in the same place. Along with this, many patients experience physical and emotional abuse and are forced to take treatments. The reason the mentally ill are treated so poorly is because most of the people in Nigeria believe that symptoms of mental health come from supernatural causation. Observations from a community-based study in southwestern Nigeria show that 48.9% of the surveyed population endorsed supernatural causation of mental disorders, compared to 30.4% and 43.9% who endorsed biological and psychological causation. Believing that mental illness comes from supernatural causation causes patients to not get the treatment they need and causes them to get treated awfully by the healthcare system. Now to Jamari in Lagos, Nigeria.
Fortunately, there's ways we can solve this. Treatment is usually lifelong and often involves a combination of medication, psychotherapy, and coordinated specialty care services. Schizophrenia treatment will center on managing the person's symptoms. Individual psychotherapy. A therapist or psychiatrist can teach the person how to deal with their thoughts and behaviors. They'll learn more about their illnesses and its effects, as well as how to tell the difference between what's real and what's not. It can also help manage everyday life.
Another way to treat schizophrenia is cognitive behavior therapy, which is also called CBT. This can help the person change their thinking and behavior. A therapist will show them ways to deal with voices and hallucinations. With a combination of CBT sessions and medication, they can eventually tell what triggers their psychotic episodes and how to reduce or stop them.
Another method of treating schizophrenia is cognitive enhancement therapy, or CET. This type of therapy is also called cognitive remediation. It teaches people how to better recognize social cues or triggers and improves their attention, memory, and ability to organize their thoughts. It combines computer-based brain training and group sessions. If a person with schizophrenia sees improvement after doing these treatments, it's likely that they'll need more help to learn how to become part of the society. This is where psychosocial therapy comes in. These include social skills training, rehabilitation, family education, self-help groups, coordinated specialty care, assertive community treatment, and social recovery therapy.
Though these are some ways to treat schizophrenia psychologically, Nigeria does not have the resources for this. So to close the gap, nonprofits throughout the country are finding new ways to reach out to people that are in desperate need of care, like volunteering and doing online Twitter therapy sessions. For example, the nonprofit Neem Foundation was established in direct response to the growing insecurity in northeastern Nigeria, and their mission is clear: to prevent violent extremism. They send counselors and psychiatrists out on kikis or motorized tricycles to provide mental health care support to displaced families, former Boko Haram fighters, and survivors of violence. Last year, over 7,000 clients in Borno received psychological counseling and therapeutic services.